Hello. In this video, I want to showcase you and demonstrate you my workflow on how I write my academic papers and now my master thesis at the moment using Paperpile. Got pretty much attracted and used to Paperpile as a very convenient web service to manage my papers, my academic references, and to use them in conjunction with Google Docs. So what you see here on in this browser window is Paperpile, the online application. So you just can access it, paperpile.com, and as you can see here, it automatically connects to my Google account. So if you're familiar with traditional reference managers like Mendeley, Zotero, you will notice that it gave me the familiar feeling of having my papers organized either in folders or using labels. Still haven't quite figured out which way is a better way to categorize my papers. Currently I'm trying labels for my master's thesis. You can search for papers. For example, what I'm currently working on is household food waste. And then you get all your references, title. You can display the abstracts I'm quite frequently using. You can view the PDF if you want to read into the document. You can write some notes here. What you can't do in the enhanced viewer is you cannot search. So if you want to search your PDF, you have to open the PDF in plain view, which is basically the Google Chrome. It's in that case what I'm using. Viewer, and then you can use here the search function to look for the keywords. So this is basically Paperpile itself, but how do you now actually use it in order to write your papers? So let's switch to another window. This is Google Docs. So what I'm doing is, at the moment, is my final thesis project on household food waste. And the way I'm structuring my thesis right now is using different Google Docs for the several chapters. Then what I'm doing is I open them in a new tab, I start writing, and then use Paperpile to, as you can see here, add my references. So what I'm doing right now, for example, I'm looking at the scientific background and previous studies and trying to create a literature review. Here's already the references that I already reviewed, and here in the bottom, this is actually the ones that I didn't finish today anymore, that I would like to do tomorrow. But in order to showcase now how to work with it, I would just quickly demonstrate it. Let's take that reference, Stefan et al. 2013. That's the one I would like to look at. Stefan 2013. As you can see, it already searches automatically while typing and gives me the reference. What I can basically see is the authors. I've labeled it already. Yes, of course, because I wanted to review it. I can mark several certain publications as start, which then goes into that folder. It shows me the journal which is published in it. The type of reference, it's a journal article. It's also filed in that folder, which I did a couple of months earlier. Not using folders at the moment. And so basically for the review, I'm just quickly screening the abstract, look at it, and then they use a survey as a method, to be written out in entire sentences later. Okay, so in that here you see in that example I already entered the references. But what if you're writing a sentence? This is my statement to be backed up by a reference of Stefan. Then what I do is I press strong or control, depending on your keyboard, Alt and P, which opens this, I think they use a Google Apps script in the background, Google Docs script. And now I type my reference, Stefan 2013. There it comes. Enter it. Depending now on, if I want to use an insight or in-sentence citation or a citation at the end, I can modify the citation. I can add page numbers, 45. Now, watch how it automatically displays you the example, how it would look like. 32, you can see it. I can add a prefix C and example. I can suppress the author, then Stefan et al. Would not be displayed. This is the way I would insert my citation in that example. So in that sense, using Paperpile for me is a very convenient way, because I tend to like a simple workflow and just focus on pure writing. My studies is social science based, so in that sense I don't do any complicated calculations, and if I do them, then I use LibreOffice or GNU PSPP, which is the open source equivalent to SPSS, and then I just put my data into the Google Docs and start writing. It automatically saves my changes all the time. I can quickly share it with someone, get comments, which is basically what I'm doing at the moment. I created a WordPress page for my master thesis to welcome everybody to reflect and give me comments. So basically I'm providing these thesis chapters, and this is just a link, as you can see in the bottom left of a browser window. It's a link to my Google Docs, so basically everybody can view it and comment on them. So feel free to do it if you have knowledge on household food waste. Welcome it. So what else can I tell about how I use Paperpile in my writing? Well, a big obstacle for me personally in Google Docs is tables. I just frequently use tables because I like them as a way of quickly showing important figures and numbers. And but if you have worked with Google Docs before, the default tables are just not enough at the moment, like the table tools. What I found is a way of making my tables a bit more comprehensive, and that is basically by installing the add-on Lucidchart diagrams. With Lucidchart, the essential feature that it gives me is I work on a table, I might update it, and without Lucidchart I would have to reinsert the image all the time manually. So let's say I create a table in Excel or in LibreOffice Calc, and I would have to take a screenshot of it and then always manually add it back to my Google Docs. With Lucidchart, as you can see here, it can automatically update inserted diagrams, which is really handy because I have them in a separate Lucidchart. Here, this is my household food waste per country. I can update my table here, and once I'm done, so let's say I'm making 24 out of it. Yeah, just should not forget about changing it back. Then I go to Lucidchart diagrams, update inserted diagrams, and now as you can see, the magic will happen. It will automatically insert diagrams updated. Yes, I know. It will automatically insert the figures, the waste figures for Finland. There you go. I'm quickly switching it back. So, what else do I do basically with Paperpile, Lucidchart, and Google Docs to write my thesis? Of course, if I'm, if I look for references, what I usually do as a first step is using Scholar, and then I would screen new references, household food waste, and there's another very, very appealing feature to me for which makes it a very strong argument to use Paperpile. For me, it nicely integrates into my workflow. So, and especially in Google Scholar and also Science Direct and Scopus. So, as you can see, Paperpile can automatically detect which of the references shown here are already in my library. So this one is in my library already. This one is in the library already. I can either directly open the PDF, it opens in a new tab, straight from my library, or I can view the entry in Paperpile, and then it automatically switches back to the tab that was already opened. So in that sense, it really acts as an app, and not only just this, opens new tabs constantly over time, and automatically selects a reference. So Paperpile has really strong features. There's, depending on your workflow, there's much more to discover. You can search online directly from within Paperpile, which I never really do. I sometimes attach PDFs to documents, to my references. Sometimes the import fails, or I just import a reference from here without having enabled my proxy before. In that case, it automatically fetches the reference itself, so the left part, but it cannot fetch the PDF. I think that's something they're working on, but as of now it doesn't work. And then I manually download the PDF, switch back to Paperpile, and add it to my paper. In that case, like there will be here, there's no PDF shown. Let's see if I can find one household. No papers found. Oops. Let's take away the filter. As you can see, they all have PDFs. Let's see if I can find one without PDF restricted. So in that case, the import failed. So what I could do is here. Let me see. PDF restricted. Access to this PDF is restricted. Usually let me see. Yeah, exactly. Now I have to select it first, and then I can add a PDF. So I could download it from that website. Let me see. Let's go to the website. Let's look at the reference itself. Oh, okay. It's a Science Direct reference published in a journal of Science Direct. So what I can do is I first log in with my proxy of my university. I get free access to the paper, and now, as you can see, Paperpile also provides Google Chrome users and Chrome users with an extension. But now it tells me this article is already in your library. Of course it is, but it is there without a PDF. So what I now manually have to do is, let me see again. Oh. In that case, even with my proxy URL, I cannot access the article. But what I would basically do is, usually, I can then download it as a PDF, go here and select Add PDF, choose a file, and then I would select it from my download folder. In that case, could that be? But it's just a fake now. It's not the one. So this was briefly, explaining my workflow on how I use Paperpile in conjunction with Google Docs and Lucidchart. The combination of these three makes it a very strong tool for me, at least. I can work mobile, I can work from wherever I am. It's light on resources. It's backed in the cloud. Yes. You have to trust the cloud, and yes, it's maintained and stored at Google service. But I just personally believe my household food waste thesis is meant to be open source and openly accessible anyway. So I have nothing to hide with my thesis and with my academic work. The contrary, I love to share it and make it publicly available with open access. So if you have any comments, then there's always, of course, comment on the video, and there's always the forum of Paperpile, forum.paperpile.com. They have a very friendly community, very friendly developers, and they're very responsive to feedbacks. As you can see here, I just submitted one today, and I already got, not by a developer, but by another user, a supportive response. That adding proxy support would be nice. Let's see if they implement my feature request. So looking forward to more, and see you next time. Goodbye.